welcome. You're listening to The Best of Investing on Talk 910, the show where we present valuable information about real estate, the financial markets, and other economic business of the day. I'm your host, Edward Brown, and I'm proud to house my co-host, Mark Hanf of Pacific Private Money, California's fastest growing mortgage investment firm, and Patti Cohn of Pacific Union. Our phone number is 888-912-1190. You forgot to wave to the camera. There we go. Okay. Use that number to answer the trivia questions for 3 vacations given away during each commercial break. That's right. We're giving away 9 vacations during this show. Now, the vacations are not sponsored by the radio station, but by Lighthouse Resort and Marina, located 1 hour northeast of San Francisco. The vacations are free. Their only request is a $75 cleaning fee to cover housekeeping expenses. Weather's getting good. Check them out. You can also reach them at 916-777-5511. And since we're in summertime, getting summertime here, today's trivia theme is Disneyland.
Nice.
Okay. Some of these questions might be easy, and some may be difficult. All righty. Patti, let's just get right in with you. You've got some interesting information for our listeners.
Yes, actually, Edward, it's a great market. Everybody knows prices have gone up, and everybody knows it's a good market. So specifically, what do we mean by that?
Okay.
So when I looked at the last 60 days, comparing this year to 60 days last year, Napa is on fire.
Oh, really?
Absolutely.
What any specific part of Napa?
All over. Old Town is a good buy, by the way, because they're doing a lot of gentrification and a lot of changes in Napa right now. Good time to buy.
Okay.
What's actually moving really strongly in Napa is the high-end stuff.
Okay.
So when I looked at, average days on the market, list price to sales price, all those numbers, and as hot as Napa is, the list price to sales price is still at, 98.5%, as opposed to in Marin, for example, it's 1.
Over 100% because it's getting overbid. Okay.
1.5 over asking on average.
1.5?
1.5% on average.
Wait, that means
1.5%.
No, 1.5%.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
50% over. Okay,
Yeah,
there we go. I got it.
But
Well,
that's
that's
just
San
an
Francisco.
Yeah, really.
Yeah. And San Francisco's hot, but everything has slowed down a lot, and it's this time of year anyway.
Yeah.
But Napa's really on fire. And
Now, what do you attribute that to? Is it just because it lagged the lower prices to begin with?
yes,
Okay.
I think so. And in fact, everything goes north. So everything happens in San Francisco first, and then it'll hit Marin, it'll hit Sonoma, and it'll hit Napa.
I see.
So by the same token, things are starting to calm down and slow down a little bit because we took some big fat gains in the last 18 months.
Mm-hmm.
And it's healthy to have it calm down a little bit.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
This is the same thing with the .com situation where it just went up way too fast, and so then you had the .bomb after that. Yeah, it would have been better to be steady.
Exactly. And in terms of number of sales, though that's dollar volume, but in terms of number of sales in the same period last year, Marin, same number of sales sold. Sonoma, 21% more sold. Napa, 24% more sold. So it's just a trend going out north, and it always starts in the city.
Yeah.
Well, and they just released, I've got a graph that I brought along with me from First Tuesday showing California underwater homes, and we've been talking about this for months and in fact years about the percentage. And so a year ago, in the first quarter of 2013, we had 21% of homes underwater. Now we're not even talking about the homes that are, that have basically zero or just a little bit of equity, not enough to sell, but that are still actually underwater. And that's been cut in half. We're now down to 11%. Interestingly enough, First Tuesday, and those listened before us talk about First Tuesday, they are an educational-based website that has been predicting softening of prices. They actually see this as a low right now for the short term, and that we might actually see a bump back upwards. Right now we're at about 750,000 homes in California still underwater. They predict that actually might increase back up to 1 million by this time next year, because they're continuing to predict that the market has overheated in many, if not most, markets of California, that we could see a softening of prices as much as 10 to 15% over the next 12 months.
Well, it looks like interest rates don't look like they're going to go up anytime soon.
They don't.
So it's interesting. I was just reading an article actually in Thursday's paper about homeowners are now starting on long-delayed remodel projects. So one is the fact that they are more convinced that the economy is getting better, and I guess the real estate market's gone up enough to where they feel comfortable, taking more of an equity line. Right?
Yes.
Would that be it?
Well, and then the other side of that is actually getting an equity line now
Yeah.
is easier than it was before, and that's largely thanks to the fact that the refinance boom is essentially over. And those in the mortgage business will know that the last 10 years have been a great time to be in mortgages from the refinance perspective. If you were an expert at refinancing, you may have customers you refinanced 4 or 5 times because we kept having these new lower lows. Well, after last year's low in the mid to high threes, we're not likely to see that refinance boom again. And so that refinance activity is gone. Now it's purchase activity, and so the banks are looking for products to bring back out. And so you're starting to see subprime, home equity loans, other types of things. Now it's still not as easy to get money from a bank as it was in 2005 and 6, but it's again, they need the revenue. They need to generate loans, and so this is one way that they're doing it. Is that home equity loan products are now coming back out.
But you wonder, is that part of why we got into trouble to begin with?
Yes,
as
it
a
is.
country?
Are you saying that we never learn from history and we keep repeating mistakes again and again?
Well, let's see. You had World War I, then you had World War II. So yeah, I'd say so.
And another thing, reason why is people actually have equity now.
And that's why we're talking. That's why I brought it up because some
Yeah.
people are still underwater.
Yeah.
But again, there's been a huge boom for a lot of areas.
Right. And even people, there's a lot of people in that didn't really have equity, but they had the money. They could afford money in their house and updated it. But when you're gripping the sides with like a deer in the headlight because where's my house going, up or down,
Exactly. Yeah,
you don't really value it as much.
Well, that's a good point. If you're right at the tip, value versus the loan that you have, you may not want to sink another 100 or 200,000 into it. You may think, maybe I'll it's time to sell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or do I want to make this pretty for somebody else and give that $100,000 next year when it's worth $100,000 less?
Yeah.
But right now, people are confident.
But the construction industry is kind of booming right now.
Oh,
Because
boy.
it's
So
hard.
many of those guys didn't make money, and they lost their shirts, they left it stained, whatever.
Yeah.
Those contractors really were down for a
Yeah.
long time, and they're back up now.
I say try to get hold of some of them, and you may not even get your phone call returned for a while.
Well, I think booming is relative. It's certainly not the way it was during the home building boom of the early to mid 2000s. But we've seen construction lenders are starting to come back in at Pacific Private Money. We're getting a lot of requests for new construction, infill construction, small subdivisions that people are picking up from the owners that have been sitting on them since 2007 when the market turned. So that activity is slowly but surely coming back. One interesting note, because we did talk about the number of homes underwater is declining. There's an interesting quote in the article here that says, because again, we still have $750,000 homes, or 11% of homes with a mortgage in California that are underwater. How long is it going to take? What's the prediction for when that's going to cure itself? And according to this article on First Tuesday, they're predicting not until 2020.
Wow.
So that's a long time for people who are stuck underwater and refuse to strategically default, bless their hearts, that they can look forward to, if you want to phrase it that way, 2020. That's another 6 years.
And really, the truth is, unlike any other kind of investment, residential real estate is emotional. And I talk to people every day, well, not every day anymore, but many people over the years, their house is worth like half of what they owe, but they still want to refi it at the same price. And I have to ask them, would you buy it today at this price?
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
Well, that's what you're doing.
Exactly.
But they care about it. It's the heart, it's the home, it's your family.
Well, it's funny too because I've done the analysis for some people where they think, oh man, my house in certain instances where they said, oh my rate of return was fantastic. I said, well, wait a minute, you bought your house in 1960 for $40,000, and now it's worth $1 million, and you do the math, and it's not they think they probably made 80% a year, and the compounded rate is maybe 6%. So it's not terrible, but it's not the rate of return they thought. Okay, tell you what, we're going to cut to a commercial break. Before we do, if you remember last week, we had a special trivia contest where the winner won hornblower tickets. And here was the question. Although we have a lot of these, we use less than 10%. What? Well, what would you think that would be?
Brain cells.
That's what I would have thought. Patty, any idea? Although we have a lot of these, we use less than 10%. What? Yeah. You're
Brain
right.
cells? No.
Cable TV channels,
Ah, interesting.
which is true, and we had a winner here, Pat from San Jose, very smart guy.
There you go.
Watch a little bit of TV.
Like Bruce
Okay.
Springsteen says, 57 channels and
I don't know. Yeah, boy, now it's 200 or 557 and nothing on.
Right.
Okay, so you know what? This being Saturday, tomorrow being Father's Day, here is your last chance, people. Father's Day will be here before you know it, tomorrow. So this year, give Dad the kind of gift you can't buy in a store. Give him the beer brunch cruise or 4-course dinner cruise from Hornblower Cruises and Events. Yeah, beer. Yeah, Duff
That was a
beer.
bad word.
Yeah, it's beer. No, that's even worse. Okay, it's a memory that'll last a lifetime. You know, a lot of young people say, "Oh, what do I give Dad for Father's Day? You know, a necktie." No, how about a brunch on Hornblower? So visit hornblower.com or call them at 855-538-7558. Tell them your friends at Best of Investing told you to call. Okay, so now we're going to cut to our first commercial break. Here is the trivia question. Again, the theme is Disneyland. Get ready for this one. Okay, the Blue Bayou Restaurant is located in what famous Disneyland ride? All right. The first 3 callers with the correct answer win a free 3-day, 2-night stay at the Lighthouse Resort. Their website is lighthouseforfun.com. Call 888-912-1190. That's 888-912-1190 to answer this question. The Blue Bayou Restaurant is located in what famous Disneyland ride? All right, don't touch that dial. The Best of Investing will be right back. Righty.
My mic is hot. Hot.
Your mic is hot.
My mic is hot. No, it's just.
You just stay right where you are. You're doing fine.
Okay.
I'm just gonna do that, so that's not right in front of you.
Think we're able to get her like this? Saying hello to the camera?
Yeah.
Good.
She said hello, yeah.
I got some statistics on, not statistics, but numbers on properties that have gone like 20% over asking, 25%
Wow,
over
okay.
asking.
That'd be good.
Examples, you know.
I was telling Mark and Kramer one time, I was at the gym, and someone came up to me and said, "Yeah, I saw you yesterday on TV." Or no, I'm sorry. I went to the gym on Monday, and they said, "Yeah, I saw you at the gym on Saturday." I said, "No, I wasn't at the gym on Saturday." They go, "No, you were on TV." Go, everyone was watching.
Oh, I
People on
got
treadmills
it.
and stuff.
Oh, how
So
Because
funny.
someone
That's
just happened to
great.
decide, instead of watching Sports Center, they decided to watch CMCM.
All right. Let's
You know what? I've got my new TiVo. It's got like a bazillion hours worth of capability. I gotta like start recording those.
Yeah.
I don't know why I'm not. Dummy. What's wrong with me, man?
yeah.
Well, you can always, on our website, you can always choose. You won't get the latest one, but you'll get one. Because I put up both with YouTube.
Oh,
and
you are.
I
See,
do.
there's just too many things to do, and I don't have time to do it for this training. A marketing AE. So we're going to get into. You want to talk about some interesting. Is it percentages over asking, or is it appreciation? Patty?
A percentage over asking. Like, for example, here's one in Mill Valley, 2-bedroom, 1-bath house that went 53% over.
Oh,
Wow.
Let me
it's
see.
just
You know, asking 459 went for 705.
Wow. Okay,
Yeah.
let's get into that. Okay,
Okay.
ready? Here we go.
Wait a minute.
Okay.
I'm gonna make sure I put this right.
Welcome back to the Best of Investing. I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Mark Hahn and our latest co-host, Patti Cohn. All right. First commercial break trivia question. Again, the theme is Disneyland. The Blue Bayou Restaurant is located in what famous Disneyland ride?
No clue.
No clue. Never been to Disneyland. No.
Many times, but not lately.
No clue is a ride.
I know, yeah, that's very good. No, Pirates of the Caribbean. Remember how you go through Pirates of the Caribbean, you look to the right, there are people
That's
sitting there,
right.
that's the Blue Bayou Restaurant. Okay, I figured I'd, give you something, rather than just, where's Space Mountain look? Okay, so Patty, you've got an exciting little story there about someone's house going way over asking.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of them. For example, way more than 50% of the houses in the Bay Area go at or over asking.
more than 50% are going over asking.
way more than 50%.
Wow. That's
Exactly.
amazing. Okay.
So then I thought, let's just look at those that go at 5 or more percent over asking. And I
Okay.
just took a snapshot. There's 21%. And actually, you think, well, they're bidding on these little condos for 200, 300, 400. No. In this snapshot I looked at, 76% of them are between 750,000. Excuse me, 700,000 and 1,750,000.
Yeah, I was gonna say when you get over like 5 million, you don't usually get like way over asking on something like that, do you?
No, you don't.
Okay.
You don't. Now, though it does happen. I mean, there was a house in Ross that was listed at 339 and it went for 3810. That's over 5%. I mean, but it does happen. Is the point? If it's really primo tall cotton location.
Sure.
So here we have this little house in Mill Valley, for
Okay.
example, on Jane Street. It's a 2-bedroom, 1 house, what I call a grandma house.
Yeah, sure.
List price $459. What would you guess would be the sales price?
559.
Right. Typically, that's how those go.
I mean, that's a lot.
705. It's a 100. I mean, 54% over asking.
Wow.
That's amazing. Now, how many square feet was the house?
1337.
That's
Yeah.
$600 a foot. How
Right.
big is the lot?
Tiny little lot, 0.11.
Are they going to just build 6 stories on top of it or something? I mean, what's the deal?
You know what? It's again, sellers are afraid to price too low, but when you see it's just think about eBay. You put something really, really low, that's the thing you start out at $1, that's the thing that's going to go over 1,000.
Yeah.
So, again, residential real estate is not always logical. It's very emotional.
Well, yeah, I mean, because $600 a foot, it still seems like a lot. Even in Mill Valley, I don't know where. Actually, I know where that is.
You know where that is, and it's
Yeah,
not
that's
that great of a neighborhood.
No, it's just kind of okay. It's near the 2 a.m. club, isn't it?
Right.
There you go. Oh, that's why. So that people can just drink and then just go walk home.
Yeah.
That makes
Yeah,
sense.
Exactly. And I mean, Sycamore Park is like Ross and Belvedere, 1,000 square foot these days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Patty, do you have any information about what percentage of these transactions are all cash, and then what's driving this continual increase? Because certainly at the beginning of the year, I didn't. After going through a year where in many markets we were up 20%, I didn't see that as being sustainable. Nor did a lot of other real estate experts who wrote about it. But in many markets, we're seeing what almost feels like a runaway bubble of inflating prices in some markets, which are including Marin, San Francisco, and the Peninsula. Is that? Do you have any information about is it cash offers that are driving that? Is it the tech boom that's driving that? I mean, what do you think is factors on that?
Oh, well, yeah. Last I looked is that 42% of properties in the Bay Area were going for cash.
Well, that one in the Mill Valley one, it was the bar that was located right around the corner.
Right,
The
exactly.
bar factor.
The bar
factor.
factor,
Yeah.
exactly. So why are they going for cash? Well, buyers know that they have to sell their own house first. There's no contingent sales.
Yeah.
And as a culture, we've all pulled back. We're no longer stepping up for the bigger and better. You're almost bragging about, hey, I'm in a nice little place now. So you take your equity out, you're a move down buyer. Or the bonuses, the tech people. And let's not forget there is a lot of foreign money out there.
Yeah.
A lot of Chinese buyers that are trying to get their kids in here from the school district.
Well,
So you did make a comment that, and I heard it as unit sales were slowing, not pricing. Is that an accurate description in higher end mid to higher end markets?
Right, the rate of price increase is definitely slowing, which thank God it is, because
Yeah.
we learned something, is what we've talked
Well,
about.
I'd like to. I would hope so that we did, because again, you start pricing people out of the market, and then it's going to be a stall and maybe not a very pretty correction.
Right, and the true indicator of a market is what is the percentage in contract. So yes, in some cases we're having fewer sales, it's just because we have fewer inventory.
Right.
And in many markets, it's close to 50% percentage in contract. Anytime you're over 35%, you've got a seller's market.
A couple of weeks ago when you were on, you mentioned also about the Chinese money.
Mhm.
I received a couple of phone calls from the same person who left a message, and I didn't share it with you only because she went into quite a tirade, I guess is a good word, about, she wanted to speak to somebody about that Chinese money coming in, foreign money, and she had all these kind of interesting tidbits, and I thought.
She was happy, upset,
No, she was
irate,
very,
about.
very upset about, and trying to figure out where all this Chinese money was coming in, import and export, and it got to a point where I said, yeah, I don't know if I want to pass this on.
Just reporting the facts, man.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there you go, exactly.
Well, with the residential market on fire, what does that mean for the real estate investor? And I will say again, this is just anecdotal information based on the fact that at Pacific Private Money, we specialize in making loans to the real estate investors. And 75% of our business 2 years ago was to people who are buying, fixing, and flipping all over the Bay Area, mostly in Alameda County, Contra Costa County, Solano County. That activity has slowed dramatically in our office. Our flip business is now the opposite. I mean, it's swung the other way. I bet 25% of the loans we're making now are to flippers. And I spoke to someone who was in the business of making seconds. They were supplying the down payment, the gap financing that a lot of rehabbers and contractors were needing because they didn't have enough of their own capital to acquire and remodel this, either a house or an additional house in addition to maybe something else they have in the works. And he was saying that he's been seeing a lot of secondary lenders who were starting to lose money on projects because the pricing is getting very thin. So, or I should say, the profits are getting very thin. So, I mean, my dad used to say you can make money in real estate in any market, and it's always a good time to buy real estate. But what he really meant was that if you buy smart, you can make money in real estate still today. So even in this market, you need to know. And buying off the MLS is generally not the place to find bargains, but there are bargains out there. There's wholesalers that are being able to tie up property in contract.
Now you'll make now, even though, like you said, the fix and flip market is not being your bread and butter now.
It's slowing down.
Okay, it's mostly what, just purchase money?
It's purchase, it's refinance, it's construction. We're doing a lot more consumer loans nowadays, and you've heard us talk about all these owner-occupied purchase money, so-called bridge loans that we're doing because of conventional fallout, thanks to Dodd-Frank.
That seems to me probably the safest loans that you're doing.
They are, because the loans to a flipper presume that the flipper knows what he's doing and is well capitalized, and if there are cost overruns or if he's not making a profit, then he's still going to actually finish the construction and sell it nevertheless.
And you only do firsts in that situation, so if you had a gap financing second, that's okay, but you're not going to be the second.
No, we don't do seconds. It's generally like that. We don't do those gap financing. There are a number of sources for that. If you're a real estate investor out there and you're wondering, wow, I didn't know I could borrow my down payment or my rehab money as well. There are players out there that will provide 100% financing. So, 100%. I mean, you'll remember back in the 80s, they had the no money down book. There's no longer no money down real estate, but there is none of your own money down real estate opportunities. 100% OPM or 100% other people's money. For example, we'll do a 70% purchase loan, and we can introduce you to parties who will provide the gap financing as well as maybe even the rehab monies. It's just, the point being is that you need to be really good nowadays. You need to be very careful. You need to buy correctly, have all your numbers in line, and don't underestimate your costs by forgetting to include things like carrying costs. Your costs of purchase are usually higher than the purchase price, and your costs of sale are usually higher than just the resale commissions. There's a lot of components that people need to keep in mind when they invest in real estate to resell.
And how do people get a hold of you if they wanted to find out about that gap financing 100%? And then we'll get in, when we come back from break, we'll get into some other stuff.
Sure. So at Pacific Private Money, we can be reached at 415-883-2150. Go to our website. That's the best way to find out about our lending programs. That's pacificprivatemoney.com, pacificprivatemoney.com.
All right. And when we come back from break, we've got an interesting email for Patty about listings that we'll get into. Okay, here's our second commercial break. Again, the theme is Disneyland. What is the name of the ride where you notice people plummeting into a briar patch and getting wet? All right? The first three callers with the correct answer win a free 3-day, 2-night stay at Lighthouse Resort. Call 888-912-1190. That's 888-912-1190 to answer this question. At Disneyland, what is the name of the ride where you notice people plummeting to their death? No, plummeting into a briar patch and getting wet. I'm sorry, Disneyland. I love Disneyland. I was teasing about that. All right, don't touch that dial. The best of investing. I'll be right back.
You know, I also was going to add one of the reasons we're not seeing a lot of flippers and investors is they're competing with these, you know, homeowners, emotional homeowners in tears, bidding this little thing up to $750. You know, and
Yeah, that's right.
right, and then you've got the contractors who are making more money, and then you're like, is this a bubble? So really, the best time to do it is when you're sure prices aren't going down, but it's just a more normal market.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, literally, I wasn't kidding about that lady. She left these messages that was like, who's that real estate person who was talking about the Chinese money coming in? I want to explain to her about the import export and Obama and she was getting a little bit too conspiracy type. It was getting a little bit.
I don't even get it.
Yes, the Feds are printing money, and the Chinese are buying up all of our bonds, and then they've got all of our dollars, and they have to reinvest those dollars, so they're coming back and buying all
At first, I thought when the first thing was, I'd like to talk to the real estate person. I'm thinking, okay, great.
You're listing your house.
Yeah, no, well, I'm ready to say, great. I'm going to pass this on to Patty, right? And then when she got into what she wanted to talk about, it was like, that's
Thank
not
you.
something. Yeah,
Thank you. I'm like, really? And when do you own a home? Do you want to list your
Yeah.
home?
All she did was she just seemed like she just wanted to argue with someone. So
Right.
I don't want to do that to Patty.
Yeah.
I didn't even call
well,
her
if
back.
they're going to list their house, they're going to do that all day long.
Talk to the hand. Are you ready?
Yes, I are.
No. Is the audience? Hello, people in TV land. Remember that I Love Lucy episode? Hello. No, never mind. I'm silly sometimes. Okay. Email time here. Would you have one quick thing about? Okay. Well, just before we get an email, I got. Yes, it does. Well, it's good. It doesn't take up your whole day.
Yeah.
Welcome back to the Best of Investing. Again, I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Mark Hahn and Patti Cohn. Well, let's see. Before we, I'll tell you what. Okay, let's go to the trivia question first. Okay, well, what is the name? We're talking about Disneyland here. What is the name of the ride where you notice people plummeting into a briar patch and getting wet? What's that called?
Log ride? Log jam?
Well, come on.
It's a small world.
Oh, come on. People. Splash Mountain.
Splash Mountain, of
Yes.
course.
Okay. All right. Now, before we get into your email, I just wanted to mention next week we're also going to have another special trivia contest where the winner is going to receive a couple of nights stay at the Hyatt Palm Springs. They've been with us before. So I love this. It's Valentine's Day every day at the Hyatt Palm Springs. Couples can indulge themselves in relaxing and romantic atmosphere that will create memories to last a lifetime. They have a romance package that includes complimentary bottle of champagne. That's all it takes to get me there. And chocolate-covered strawberries, a playful romantic gift to make the guest stay more than memorable. And that also includes, get this, full breakfast for 2 each day, as well as late checkout. And in addition, they can take advantage of the hotel's pool and cabanas, in-room spa services, Stay Fit gym, as well as the newly refreshed hotel restaurants. Get this, with rooms starting as low as $159. Total package valued at over $300 represents a nearly 47% savings.
Wow.
Check them out. They're down near the downtown Palm Springs, and they're within walking distance of many specialty shops and attractions. www.hyattpalmsprings.com or call 760-322-9000. Okay, so Patty, we have a special question for you from a listener who says, when choosing a realtor, how important is it that the realtor has a lot of listings? Should I be concerned that the realtor may not pay attention to my house? That's actually a pretty good question.
It's an excellent question. Because the question really is, how do you cut through it all? Because every agent differentiates themselves, and they're always the best at something. So, perspective. The average agent in the Bay Area sells less than 3 houses a year.
Okay.
Wow.
Okay, so let's just say you've had a heart attack and you're you're using a heart surgeon, do you want somebody that does it 2 or 3 times a year, or somebody that does it hundreds of times in their career? I mean, commissions are the same whether you get somebody that's been doing it 6 months or does it once a year. So, I mean, myself, I've been doing it 27 years.
Okay.
I am in the top percentage every single year, every year. And
Well, there's a reason for that.
right, exactly. I mean, and it's a really good question because I've had people ask, "Are you going to be too busy?" I'm not busy enough, and I'm the #1 listing agent in my
Oh, wow.
marketplace for 2014.
I mean, because I can see this listener's question from the standpoint of, if you get somebody who has no listings, then it's like, gosh, you're probably not too good. That's why you have no listings. And if you have someone who has 1,000, or not being facetious here,
Right.
but 1,000 listings, gee, will you be able to pay attention to mine?
Right,
So,
and especially in a seller's market, my listings are selling in a week. So if I
Wow.
take one a week, that'll be 52 for the year, and the average agent has 3 or 4. So no, I'm not too busy.
boy,
right?
that's in fact, being an agent, the listings would be just awesome right now because they
They
just fly off the shelf.
Yes, they are.
Excellent. And Patty, you're with Pacific Union.
Exactly.
Okay, you have kind of a large area you cover.
I cover all of Marin County, sometimes Sonoma and Napa, and I am based out of Mill Valley, sometimes to the city. I'm at 722-4842, area code 415.
So if you want to get the #1 agent, that's how you get a hold of Patti Cohn. That's good. I like that. It would be amazing if I mean, I know there are people who specialize in certain pockets of neighborhoods,
Yes.
but that's kind of neat that you have that nice broad stroke there.
Right, and an agent that doesn't do a lot of business, they're rusty. But if I've got, listings all over the county, I know what buyers are out there right now, and I can flip them to my own listings.
Good point.
Oh, okay.
You know,
That's a very good
When
point.
they're wondering about inventory, I'm like, I've got something for you right now. I'm listing it next week, and
Yeah, that's a very good point.
Right.
Okay, Mark, we have a question for you. It says, are you allowed to put any prepayment penalties on loans you provide? That's interesting.
It depends on who I'm lending to. So, there's different rules that have been enacted for consumer loans. And I mentioned earlier that I'm making, Pacific Private Money, we're making fewer loans to real estate investors and more loans to consumers. So the way the regulations differentiate lending is it's either for an investment or business purpose, the loan, that is, or it's for a consumer purpose. So not necessarily whether it's your primary resident or investment property, because on your primary residence, you can borrow money, or I can make you a loan if it's for a business purpose, and there are certain rules I have to follow. But if it's for a consumer purpose, and in fact, if you own rental property, you can borrow money to consolidate debt or put a child through college. That's considered a consumer purpose loan, even though the loan is secured by investment property. So there's been a big mix.
That's changed.
There's a lot of gray area and a lot of misunderstanding out there, even among brokers, and in fact, even among attorneys, there's disagreement as to what's a consumer purpose versus a business purpose, and what regulations apply to a loan that's on a primary residence or a loan that's on investment property. So all those new Dodd-Frank regulations really stirred the pot, and there's a real blending and overlap now. But in general, on business purpose loans and investment purpose loans, the answer is yes, we can and do charge prepayment penalties. And on consumer loans, generally speaking, those have been frowned upon. And so that's not to say that they can't be done, because they just have to meet certain types of restrictions. So there are, at least in the loans that we're doing on primary residences now, we are more often than not, we are making those loans with no prepayment penalty. But really the crux of the question really should be for the consumer or anyone borrowing money, you want to ask the question actually in 2 ways. Is there a prepayment penalty? Yes or no? And then you want to follow up that question with, is there a minimum interest guarantee required on that? Because there are some lenders out there that will advertise their loan as not having a prepayment penalty, but they'll say, but we have a 3-month minimum interest guarantee or a 6-month minimum interest
I mean,
guarantee.
it's almost the same.
It is, right. It's semantics, but
Yeah.
again, you have to be careful out there. So again, but as a consumer, the regulations really are on your side now, to a large extent, almost maybe too too much. And what I mean by that is a lot of the restrictions that have been enacted in the interest of preventing, another subprime fiasco, and in the interest of preventing predatory lending, they've actually, the regulations have served. Some of the regulations have served to actually take away consumer choice. And and a prime example of that is, I just had lunch with someone today, and we were discussing the topic of the fact that equity loans really are now no longer legal on a primary residence. Equity-only loans. In other words, if you cannot demonstrate the ability to afford the monthly payments through the income you make, we can no longer make that loan to you.
But that's not just you.
What a concept.
Yeah, really. Yeah.
Well,
The bank would be that way too.
However, but there's a lot of people with a tremendous amount of equity in the Bay Area. I mean, if you own your home free and clear, and you've got $1 million worth of equity, and you're on Social Security, and let's say you want to remodel that home because you want to sell it, but it's a major remodel, you want to borrow $250,000. Well, if your debt to income ratio, also known as your DTI ratio, is over a certain percentage as a result of that loan, we can't make it to you, even though you've got gobs and gobs of equity, and you want to borrow the money because you don't want to leave equity on the table, meaning maybe you could sell your home for $1 million as is, but if you put $250,000 to it, maybe you could sell it for $1.5 million or $6 million and make a profit.
And you're not allowed to use the value of the property of sale. Like, well, I'll pay the loan back as soon as I sell the property. It has to be from income.
Right. So we used to make those loans in our sleep 5 and 10 years ago. Today, technically, that loan is no longer allowed under the regulations. And what that means is if I made a person a loan simply based on their equity on their primary residence, even if they were intended to improve the property and sell it, if they changed their mind and stopped making payments and we went after them in the foreclosure process, they could theoretically find an attorney who would say, well, you made them an illegal loan.
So they have to pay the principal, they just don't have to pay the interest.
Well,
right?
and that's the penalty, right?
Yeah.
There's penalties and fines.
What if they use that money for business purpose?
If it's a business purpose, then I can make that
Then
loan.
you can make the loan.
Right.
Okay,
So again, it's a lot more difficult today. The hard money lending industry of old really doesn't exist anymore. It's a completely different industry. It's the reason why a lot of those of us in the business today refer to the private money lending industry, private lenders as opposed to hard money lenders, just because it's no longer the Wild West unregulated lending industry. We're as regulated for the most part as a bank is, and that's a good thing in many ways. And we're still thriving in this marketplace because of how much harder it is for banks to make loans, or at least how much harder banks are making it for consumers to qualify for a loan. So,
I mean, I guess people, if they really wanted that money, they're going to have to just fill out an application that says it's going to be for business purpose.
Well, that's actually true.
Yeah.
It forces certain people to become liars again because the government's basically saying, look, this is for your own good.
Yeah, but then again, if they kind of wink, wink, nod, nod, look at my house, how I'm going to improve it, then you go, well, this really isn't a business loan. Okay, we're going to cut to our third and final commercial break here. Again, the theme is Disneyland. And when we come back, I do want to ask you, Mark, for the deal of the week. That way you can also tell people again how to get hold of you. Okay, what is the name of the, quote, land? Remember how, there's Tomorrowland and all that kind of fun stuff, Critterland, which contains Aladdin's Oasis and the Jungle Cruise. You ever been on those rides? Well, not Aladdin's Oasis. Okay, Jungle Cruise. Okay. The first three callers with the correct answer win a free 3-day, 2-night stay at the Lighthouse Resort. Call 888-912-1190. That's 888-912-1190 to answer this question. What is the name of the, quote, land which contains Aladdin's Oasis and the Jungle Cruise? And when we come back, Mark Hunt will tell us about the deal of the week. I'm sure it's going to be exciting. Talk to you soon. We'll be back soon. That's all, folks. Got my mind going too many places here.
Right.
Let's see. Okay, I gotta find a deal of the week.
Okay. Back to you too, Patty. Don't forget about you. Doing things at once here.
Yeah, Yeah, some of the regulations have gone too far, like, for example, with appraisers, they have to be, you know you're in trouble when the appraiser asks you, which bridge should I take to get to the property?
Which one?
Which bridge should I take to get to the property? You don't know the market.
You know, bring that up. I like that.
I was about to, yeah.
Yeah. Property sciences, they, for a long time, they had a terrible reputation. Then they got better, and then I don't know where they are now.
It's overregulated with the appraisers. They have to be arm's length, they have to be outside the area, and the most difficult thing you can do is not track
They have
houses.
to be outside the area?
A lot of times they do. Yeah.
That's what the banking relationships are? Or banking?
Some of them.
I mean, because I know that they have to, you know, they have a board or something that have to bid in.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, and they get rated, and their jobs, their career is based on how many times they go back for underwriting review. And, I mean, and some of them don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
In tract areas, you can price, but in the most difficult thing you can do in the Bay Area is price real estate correctly.
Too much of a quick moving target.
I'm still looking for a deal of the week because I've just not closed that.
Well, you don't have to close it, but just when at least something you're looking at, because you're not going to name names. Just have a couple of good ones. But also, you know, we talk about how a couple of these loans have paid off and how it helped the fund because of the points. Okay, good. All right, good. It's going to be a short one. We only got 6 minutes left.
Okay.
All right, here we go. Welcome back to the Best of Investing. I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Mark Hanf and Patti Cohn. What is the name of the land which contains Aladdin's Oasis and the Jungle Cruise at Disneyland?
Adventureland.
That's right.
Yeah,
Very good. I thought that was probably the hardest question. That was very good. Okay, Mark, give us the deal of the week.
Well, it's actually deals of the week, and the reason I'm thinking of these right now is because they're actually paying off, and so it's these were two consumer purchase bridge loans that we made recently, and in both of these cases, they were to borrowers who thought they could conventionally purchase their loan. In fact, their mortgage broker said, "Yeah, no problem." They got the appraisal, the house appraised. They had the source of capital, everything came in. In one case, the fellow was self-employed, and in this again, I don't know why this didn't happen in the beginning when the bank was underwriting the loan for approval, but I guess at some point, as they were nearing close, questions started to come in from the lender about the source of the capital, and this guy had multiple bank accounts and had been moving money around, and I guess the bank didn't like that. I don't even pretend to understand, why that's an issue, but it wasn't sitting in a personal savings account for a certain amount of time. It was money that was moving around in various business-related accounts.
Looks shady. Looks
Well,
suspicious.
I guess, and I guess there must be a valid reason for a bank to be concerned about that. So anyway, the guy had 2 weeks to close and found out that he was not going to be able to close conventionally. His deposit was already non-refundable, and this was a great opportunity for him to buy a nice little house in Petaluma. So we came in, and this was the story that I think we've told before. We closed this loan same week. We got the call on Wednesday morning, and we closed escrow that Friday because there were significant penalties built in if he didn't close. And so that
Okay,
loan was about 6 weeks ago, and now it's paying off.
Okay, so it's a, I found the audience listening in. I go, that's great, but boy, that seems kind of stinky that you put your money out and you get it right back. But that's not necessarily the case because you charge some points.
Right, and so anyway, we funded this loan through the Pacific Private Money Fund, which is paying investors. We're paying out at 8.25% cash on cash, and for those who are letting their earnings ride and compound, it's paying 8.5% on a compounded basis. So we use the fund's money to fund that loan, and we charge points. We charge 2 points, and we are earning 10% on that, and it's going to be paying back basically in about 2 months total. The money was out there, and so we're going to be able to reloan that money out. And so in the way we designed the fund is that half of the points we charge on a loan that's funded by the Pacific Money Fund are earned by the fund. So it actually benefits the shareholders. And so the fund was designed to make short-term loans because really that's a niche lending market that we serve. People who need money for 60, 90, 120 days, 6 months. You would be surprised how many situations exist. Certainly for fix and flip,
Sure.
and some people are still fix and flipping, even though it's quite a bit less than it was before. But again, people who have to close, who need to close, who thought they could close with a bank loan and can't, and that is a growing market right now.
Okay, and so I know your rate of return is going to end up being a lot higher than 8.25 if you keep turning that money over.
Oh, absolutely.
How do people get a hold of you again to invest?
So if you want more money, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, if you want more money,
just
and
sign up.
and you want more information about how you can earn 8% or more secured by Bay Area real estate, Pacific Private Money Fund, which is paying 8.5% on a compounded basis, give us a call. We'll send you information by email. That's 415-883-2150, 415-883-2150, or go to the fund's website. We have a website specifically for the Pacific Private Money Fund. It's at pacificmoneyfund.com.
Patty, we've got only about 45 seconds left, so we're going to have to talk next time about the appraiser situation, because I thought that was very interesting.
Yeah.
So if the audience, again, wants to get on the hold of the #1 real estate agent in this, or at least Marin.
Yeah, listing agent.
Listing
Yes.
agent, how do they get a hold of you again?
Oh, well, thank you for asking. That would be Patti Cohn, Pacific Union, 415-722-4842.
The thing I like about it is that it's not like getting the best is going to cost you anymore.
Right.
Because the commissions are the same for the most part, for small
Absolutely.
purposes. So you get the best for the same price.
Right.
I like that.
And it's often the biggest investment in people's lives.
Yeah, absolutely. That is true. Okay, here's our thoughts for the day. An average American will spend an average of 6 months during his lifetime waiting at red lights. And if you live in the Bay Area, it's probably about 2 years, I'm guessing. And a female ferret will die if it goes into heat and cannot find a mate. I can relate to that. I tell my wife all the time that. Okay, tune in next time. Next week to The Best of Investing, we're going to be giving away 9 more free vacations for answering trivia questions. Thanks for listening. On behalf of our team, I'm Edward Brown, wishing you the best of investing. So long.